She wasn't supposed to be there, at least that's what the flight attendant thought. Maya Johnson stood in front of the jet bridge door suitcase. In one hand, her captain's stripes gleaming on her shoulders, when a tall blonde man blocked her path. He crossed his arms with a smirk. "Cleaning staff goes around back," he sneered. For a second, the world seemed to freeze. Passengers nearby paused, phones tilted up sensing drama. Maya stared at him, heat rising in her chest, but her voice came out calm. "Excuse me, I'm Captain Johnson, and this is my flight." His smile faltered for a moment, then returned tighter this time. "You'll need to show ID. We can't just have anybody walking into the cockpit." He said it loud enough for the crowd to hear. Before Maya could respond, a suited man appeared from the boarding gate, the airline's CEO, Miles Cooper. He glanced between them, clearly irritated. "Is there a problem?" The attendant straightened instantly. "Sir, I was just stopping unauthorized personnel." But Miles cut him off with a sharp edge in his voice. "Unauthorized. That's Captain Johnson, our pilot today. And in case you missed the memo, she's also our new majority owner." The color drained from the man's face, but Maya's expression didn't change. She looked him straight in the eye and said just loud enough for the passengers filming on their phones, "Mr. Wilson, you're relieved of duty. Collect your things and get off my plane." That moment, the gasps, the silence, the single clap that broke into full applause wasn't just about a power reveal. It was about a lifetime of being underestimated, written off, pushed aside. Maya had spent her whole life walking into rooms where people doubted she belonged, and this was the moment she decided the fight was no longer about proving herself. It was about changing everything. Maya grew up in Detroit, in a cramped apartment where the sound of sirens was as common as the sound of kids playing outside. Her mother worked double shifts at the hospital. Her grandmother kept the household steady. And Maya, she stared at the sky. She'd press her face to the chain-link fence near the airport, watching planes roar into the clouds. One day she spotted something she'd never seen before. A black woman in a pilot's uniform, striding through the terminal with confidence. Maya tugged her mother's sleeve, whispering, "That's what I want to be." Her mom squeezed her hand and said, "Then that's what you'll be, baby." But neither of them knew just how hard that promise would be to keep. At school, counselors told her to be realistic. Nursing teaching, maybe law enforcement. But flying, for a black girl, not many make it there, one teacher said flatly. Maya just smiled and wrote equations on the margins of her notebooks. Lift, drag, thrust, weight. She asked for flying lessons instead of a sweet 16 party. While other girls painted their nails, she studied weather charts. Flight school wasn't just tough, it was war. Instructors questioned her competence even when she aced every test. Male classmates whispered bets on how long she'd last. Johnson, her instructor, barked during simulator drills. Explain emergency protocol again. Slowly this time. She had already answered perfectly, but she repeated every word with icy precision. Later, she'd head home to care for her sick grandmother, working 3 jobs to pay tuition, waiting tables at dawn, delivering packages till dusk, bartending past midnight. Her roommate begged her to slow down. Maya just shook her head, counting crumpled tip money. "I'm not burning out," she said. "I'm building my future." Her first real job came with Lakeview Regional Airlines. The interviewer smirked when he hinted that passengers might feel uncomfortable with certain pilots. She knew exactly what he meant. At Lakeview, the disrespect was constant. Attendants directing questions to her co-pilot instead of her passengers double-taking when she introduced herself as captain. One flight attendant once leaned in and asked her co-pilot, "Where's the real captain?" while Maya sat in the left seat, stripes shining. She learned to bite back, not with words, but with flawless performance. Then came the storm. Flight 217 lost an engine in brutal turbulence over the Rockies. Visibility 0, lightning clawing at the sky. Maya's hands stayed steady on the yoke. Her voice over the intercom was calm as stone. "Ladies and gentlemen, this will be a rough landing. Stay buckled." Minutes later, she brought all 102 passengers safely to the ground on a rural strip, sparks flying as the plane kissed the runway. The cabin erupted in applause. Local news headlines screamed, "Female pilot executes miracle landing." Female, not black. They left that out. Her skills caught the eye of other airlines, but every move up came with stacked odds. She kept getting the worst routes, overnight flights through snowstorms, while promotions went to less experienced white men. She told herself, "Then I'll succeed spectacularly." And she did. One night after landing in Chicago, an older man with sharp eyes and a warm smile introduced himself. Leonard Brooks, a retired airline executive with a track record of building and selling carriers. He'd been watching her career, impressed. Over late dinners and long conversations, he became her mentor. Leonard said plainly, "You're not just a pilot, Maya. You're a leader. And Liberty Air needs leadership." He laid it out. The airline was failing, terrible customer service, outdated management, rotten culture. But it had good routes, good planes. "I'll put up the money," Leonard told her. "You bring the vision. Together we buy it." 2 years later, with careful planning, Leonard handed over majority shares. On paper, he was the face. But quietly, Maya Johnson, a girl once mocked for dreaming too high, became the majority owner of Liberty Air. She chose to keep flying for a while, learning the company from the inside. And that decision led straight to the showdown with Cameron Wilson. When she finally walked into the boardroom after the viral incident, the air was thick with hostility. Cameron's uncle, board member Charles Wilson, glared across the table. "We've drafted a statement to smooth things over," he said coldly. "Let's not blow a small misunderstanding out of proportion." Maya laid a thick folder on the table and looked every man in the eye. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was discrimination. And I've got 78 ignored complaints to prove it. She handed out documents, pages of cases, buried lawsuits settled quietly, millions paid to cover up a toxic culture. "This company bleeds money because it refuses to face the truth," she said, her voice cutting through the silence. Some executives squirmed. Others stared at the data, unable to argue. Charles scoffed. "Perceived bias isn't the same as real bias." Maya leaned in, her tone sharp as a blade. "Was your nephew just perceiving things when he blocked me in full uniform from my cockpit? Or was he proving my point?" The room went dead quiet. She unveiled her plan: 0 tolerance for discrimination, transparent reporting, scholarships for underrepresented kids to pursue aviation recruitment initiatives to bring real diversity into leadership. "This isn't politics," she said. "It's business. Inclusive companies make more money. Liberty can't afford not to change." By the end of the meeting, nearly every board member sided with her. Only Charles resisted, muttering as he left. "This isn't over," Maya replied evenly. "You're right. It's just beginning." What followed was brutal. Hate mail at her home, slurs spray-painted on her car, reporters hounding her grandmother with invasive questions. Even her fiancé wavered, suggesting they postpone their wedding until things calmed down. She stared at him in disbelief. "You want to delay our future because I stood up to racism." He couldn't answer. That night, Maya realized this fight might cost her more than she'd ever expected. Skypath Airlines. Their biggest rival smelled blood. They sent her a generous buyout offer. Take the money, walk away. For a moment, she considered it. Peace, safety. But then a message buzzed her phone. A photo of a little black girl wearing tinfoil wings, smiling wide. "She saw your video," the mother wrote. "Now she wants to be a pilot, too." Maya wiped her eyes. She knew she couldn't quit. Instead, she went on the offensive. While Cameron played victim on morning talk shows, Maya chose Bloomberg Live unedited. She came with data receipts, a full report released simultaneously online. 7 previous complaints against Cameron, all dismissed. Statistics showing Liberty's discriminatory culture. Lawsuits buried under miscellaneous expenses. She spoke with clarity, not outrage. "Diversity isn't the opposite of excellence," she said firmly. "Diversity is how you achieve excellence." The tide turned. Employees rallied, signing open letters of support. Customers praised the new direction. Stock prices rebounded. Liberty began rolling out training programs, new policies, scholarships. Slowly, the culture shifted. Even longtime skeptics admitted the flights felt different, more human, more alive. 18 months later, Maya stood at JFK International about to pilot Liberty's first direct flight to Cape Town. Behind her, a gleaming Dreamliner with Liberty's new livery symbolizing rebirth. Among the passengers was Captain Denise Carter, the very woman Maya had seen at LaGuardia as a child, the black pilot who'd sparked her dream. When they embraced before boarding, Denise whispered, "You've carried the torch further than I ever could." As the engines roared and the jet lifted into the sky, Maya thought about that little girl at the chain-link fence in Detroit. She thought about every time someone told her she didn't belong, every door slammed in her face. And she thought about the passengers behind her, people of every race, every story flying together towards something bigger. Her journey wasn't just about an airline. It was about possibility, about proving that no matter how deep the prejudice, no matter how loud the voices telling you no, there's always a way to fight back with skill, with patience, with truth. Now here's where I'll leave you with a question. When you see someone underestimated, do you step aside and let it happen, or do you step in and say, "Enough"? Should Maya have shown mercy to that flight attendant, or was firing him in front of the world the only way to spark change? Tell me what you think in the comments, because this story isn't just hers, it's ours. And if it struck something in you, hit like, share it with someone who needs reminding that the sky really is the limit when you refuse to let anyone else define your worth.